right, everybody, welcome to class. We're going to be making our Bake Club fruit preserves today. And the recipe we got from Christina Tosi's Bake Club. And it is a super fun and easy way to make our own fruit preserves at home. So you can make these with either fresh berries, or you can make them with frozen berries. Whatever you choose to do is all right. It's whatever is in your house and whatever flavors you love. So if you have fresh blueberries or some kind of berries like these, you're going to need to wash them first. So you need a pound of berries. And if you have fresh berries that don't need to take a stem off or anything like that, all you have to do is wash them. If you have fresh peaches or plums, because that's what you love stone fruit, I highly recommend, if you're gonna do some sort of a peach preserve, I highly recommend taking the skin off first and then cutting your fruit into small, maybe 1-inch pieces like this. We can mash them up in the pan later, but you don't want them too big. Like, we don't want to make fruit preserves out of something as big as an apple slice. We want it smaller because we want it spreadable. So something with a skin on it, you're going to want to take the skin off and cut it into small pieces. If you have strawberries, you're going to want to take the stem off and probably cut these ones in half. Like, strawberries should probably start as at least a half a strawberry. So what you're going to do is you're going to first take some time, and if you have fresh berries, you're going to need to prepare your 1 pound of berries by taking the stems off, the peels off, and cutting them into workable pieces that's gonna go into our pan. So if you need to pause the video and come back after you get all of your fresh fruit prepped, do that. The first time I made this, I did this, cherries were in season, and I only have a little bit left of my cherry preserves. But the first time I made it, I had to take the pits out of a pound of cherries. This is so delicious. This is like my favorite thing on the planet, is fresh cherry preserves. So for cherries, you have to slice each individual cherry in half and take the pit out and make sure you dispose of the stems if you're using cherries. So that's how you work with fresh fruit. If you're working with frozen fruit, which I'm going to do this week, I am just going to take my 1 pound of frozen berries. I got out a lemon. If you only have a lime, or maybe you just have an orange, any kind of citrus will do. We want something with some acid to counterbalance the sweetness of the berries. You're going to want any sort of a jar. You could use a plastic container too, whatever you have around the house. We're gonna need a pinch of salt. So I have my kosher salt right here. It's my favorite. And we're going to need a ½ cup of sugar. So I have that nearby. I'm going to give this lemon a little bit of a roll so it's a little warmed up and ready to be juiced. I have my measuring cups and measuring spoons nearby. I have a hand juicer because I think it makes my life easier, but you can squeeze a lemon with your hand. And I have a heavy bottom pot. Okay, so this pot has a real heavy bottom. It's about a medium size. So I always say, like, oh, it's about as big as my face. So if you look into it, it should be about as big as your face. And it has a heavy bottom. It's probably gonna be your favorite one. This is like my mac and cheese out of a box making pot. So it's kind of like that size. Get one of these guys, and we're just gonna get started. So if you're using your fresh fruit and it's already ready to go, take your 1 pound of fresh fruit and put it into your saucepan. I'm going to take my 1 pound of frozen fruit and get that into my saucepan. All right. Then we need to add, we're just gonna add everything right in here. So I have raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries all together. All right, let's add a 1/2 cup of sugar. So this is my dry measuring cup. All right, get that in there. And I'm going to add just a pinch of salt. The pinch of salt really allows our taste buds to taste the variety of flavors of what's in our dish. So we're going to taste the berry flavor and the sweetness from the sugar and a little bit of that acid, and having that salt in there really works in our mouths and with our taste buds to allow us to taste more flavors all at the same time. Kind of gives it distinction and really makes a difference. So I'm going to use a hand juicer. If you have one of these and never used it before, you place the cut side down. And I only need 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. Oh, there's my assistant running in to help us. To tell us there's somebody in the neighborhood walking by or driving by. All right, so I have my lemon. Oh, it takes my breath away. And I'm going to pour 2 teaspoons of lemon juice in here. Okay. All right, I got my 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. And, okay, here's the thing. If you are going to be using fresh fruit, what I need you to do is get your liquid measuring cup, and we're going to go get a 1/2 cup of water. So with your 1/2 cup of water, you're going to add this in with your fresh fruit. Since I'm doing frozen fruit, I'm gonna hold off on this water because my frozen fruit is going to let a bunch of extra juice come out, more so than if they were fresh berries. So if you're using frozen berries, hold off on the water for a bit. We probably don't need any at all. But if you have fresh berries, you're going to add in 1/2 cup water right into your berry, sugar, lime, lemon, and salt mix in here. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to just take this all over to the stove. So what's in my fresh fruit preserves? 1 pound of berries, 1/2 cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons lemon juice, and a pinch of salt. I have frozen berries, so I'm not adding any water. If you have fresh berries in here, a pound of fresh berries, you need to also add 1/2 cup of water. Filtered water, please, if you have it. Always use the best water when you're cooking and baking. All right, so let's see. See if I can get that here. All right, so what does our steps say to do? It says, in a medium heavy bottom saucepan on a medium-low heat, let's stir together all ingredients and continue stirring intermittently. Okay, first things first, medium-low heat. All right, get down with my flame and judge that. All right, I got a medium-low heat. I'm going to stir everything together, and then I'm going to continue stirring intermittently. All right, so I got everything all mixed together, and I'm just gonna hang out and see what happens. All right. What does intermittently mean? Intermittent means Well, okay, so if I said continuously stir, that means that you would constantly, with a constant motion, stand here and mix your ingredients, and you would never go away. It would be constant. It would never end. Intermittent means that you start and stop, you know, every few minutes. That's what intermittent means to me in the kitchen. You start and stop with something like this every couple minutes or so. But I don't want to go too far away from my stove. I want to keep my eye on. See, all sorts of the juices are coming out of my frozen berries, and so it's creating its own juices, so I don't have to add water to these. All right, I can hear that my mixture is starting to bubble. So I want to come over here and make sure that I have a close eye on my fruit. Let's read the next steps in the instructions. It says, once the fruity sugar mixture comes to a gentle boil, bring heat down to a simmer and set a timer for 15 minutes. All right, so what we're looking for is we want our fruity mixture to come to a gentle boil. This means that there should be big bubbles, all right? And it's gonna be really hot, so please be careful. We're looking for it to come to a gentle boil, so it won't be like when pasta water comes to a boil. It's going to be a little more lava bubbly like than that, okay? So once we bring this all the way up to a boil, we will turn it down to a simmer and probably put it on our lowest temperature, and we'll come back. All right, I started hearing bubbling sounds. Let's get really quiet. Can you hear it? It's starting to come to a low boil. So when these bubbles get all the way into the middle, when it's bubbling everywhere, that's gonna be my boiling moment where I'm going to stop and turn it down. We're almost there. Oh yeah. Okay, so what we are going to do is, this was a pretty gentle boil. You can see there's big bubbles on the outside, little bubbles bubbling on the inside, kind of like lava. And what we want to do now is turn it down, and we're going to set a 15-minute timer. We're gonna let this simmer. So I'm gonna turn it down. Okay, maybe I'll, not quite the low setting, right above it. I always look down to check, making sure you didn't accidentally turn it all the way up on high. Okay, I'm gonna set a 15-minute timer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check back every 5 to 10 minutes and move the mixture across the pan with a spoon or spatula. So what we're looking for is we're looking to reduce the fruit mixture by half. This could take as little as 20 minutes for smaller, less hardy berries like blueberries or raspberries, or possibly up to 45 minutes for really dense fruit like cherries. So the heat will also slow down or speed up the time for this to happen. Doing this slow and low gives it more time for all those flavors to come together, and it's going to be wonderful. So I set a 15-minute timer, but every 5 minutes or so, maybe on my phone, I'm gonna set a 5-minute timer and I'll just put it on repeat. And every 5 minutes, I'm gonna come over here and I'm going to check the consistency of the juice in here to see how it moves over my spoon. See how right now it's just like juice, just a little thicker than fruit juice, right? We want it to roll off our spoon in sheets. Like, so this is like droplets, right? When you take the juice and you pour it off your spoon, we want it to pour off the side. We want it to be thick, and we want when we tip our spoon for it to be like a sheet of jammy jam. All right. If you take a little bit out, it's hot. So if you take a little bit out, I've already made a mess of this. So you can taste it to make sure you have enough acidity. Just put a little over here and then let it cool, and then taste it with a spoon to make sure the flavors are good for you. Okay, we'll check back in 5 minutes. Okay, we're looking for this to reduce by half the amount we started with and become pretty thick. Juice test, still watery. All right, so it's reduced a lot. You can kind of see where we started in the pan up here, but it's still really watery. Don't forget to stir it at least every 5 minutes because you don't want it to burn. So keep it on a low temperature. I have it on my lowest low temperature, and I'm going to set a repeat timer so I don't forget to continue to stir it. Still pretty thin. Ooh, it's becoming more and more jelly-like, right? Thicker, less watery. Oh, we're almost there. All right, we're just about reduced by half. And we're getting near to the point where we can decide how much jelly do I like in my preserves. Do I like it with a good amount of jelly? See how it's running off in sheets? It's going to solidify, jellify a little more once it goes in the fridge. So keep that in mind. But we are nearly there. So I think this is just about done. Okay, so what we do when we think that our preserves are finished, we spoon our mixture into the jar after it's cooled a little bit, and then we store it in an airtight container in the fridge for up to 3 months. But make sure, even if you're enjoying this right away, save 3/4 of a cup for our recipe we're doing next week, and you will be so happy that you saved a little bit. I turned my heat all the way off. I'm going to let it cool right here for about 15 minutes so I don't break the jar I'm going to put it in. You want a jar that's going to be bigger than, it's going to give you about a 1/2 inch on the top of the jar with just air, just extra space, because this is going to expand. So let it cool, get it in a jar, give it some extra space, put it in the fridge, and enjoy.